Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the URC quarterfinals. This one, Leinster versus Ulster. A good old-fashioned Irish derby taking place for the third quarterfinal. Now, whoever wins this game will face off up against the Bulls. They will have to play in South Africa after the Bulls getting themselves the 7-point win over Benetton very recently. But looking through at the table, of course, for this URC season, it was a thriller from start to finish, but definitely throughout those last couple of leagues, we saw the top four all having the same amount of wins, all having 13. Munster in the end just that little bit higher as they had lost one less game than those other sides, picking up a draw earlier on in the season. We saw Leinster drop to third after their commitment to the Champions Cup became evident. And now we have to wonder whether or not that could cost them, depending on if they can win this game up against Ulster. They will then have to head to South Africa, a place where they have already been defeated throughout their regular season. But, of course, there are a lot of question marks when it comes to this game. One question that does not need to be answered, though, is whether or not this is a strong Leinster side. Andrew Porter in the front row alongside Tan Sheehan and Tyke Furlong, an all-Irish international front row here. For Leinster, Joe McCarthy and James Ryan, the Irish internationals keep on flowing with Ryan Beard, Josh Van Fleur playing at 7, and Caelan Doris slotting in as the number 8. Jameson Gibson Park and Ross Byrne, the 19 combo. Jamie Osborne with Robbie Henshaw as the midfield combination in this quarter final, with James Lowe, Jordan Lama, and Jimmy O'Brien there as the number 15. No Hugo Keenan, of course, due to his commitments to the Sevens. That is why he is not there for this matchup. Looking through at this Ulster starting side, it will be in the front row Eric O'Sullivan alongside Rob Herring and Tom O'Toole. Then Sheridan at 4 and Izzy Cormack slotting in as the number 5. Matty Rea at 6 with McCann and Timoney as the other two in the loose forward trio. Alongside that, Cooney and also Billy Burns as the 19 combo. McCloskey and Will Addison as the midfield combination. Jacob Stockdale, Michael Lowry out on the other wing, and Stuart Moore at number 15. So one of these two sides comes in as the huge underdog, and that is, of course, the side that we are showing at the moment, Ulster. They are known for being able to cause upsets, though, throughout this season. They were almost able to beat Munster while Munster were at home. Of course, this game going to be at the Aviva. It's going to be an extremely tough one, but I'm sure Ulster will be ready for the challenge. Who are you backing to win the URC and Super Rugby, says Tian. It's a great question. I think Super Rugby, I'm thinking the Hurricanes are going to get themselves the win. URC is a little bit harder to determine. I mean, Munster have looked very strong. Bulls, I know that up against Benetton, that wasn't their best performance. So I like to think there is more to come for the Bulls throughout the rest of the season. Glasgow versus Storm is still to come as well as another quarterfinal. That is going to be an absolutely awesome game. Benetton tried. Bulls can't possibly go further with that kind of performance these cats now. I mean, a win's a win though, isn't it? Like at the end of the day, we have seen sides struggle in a quarter and then go on and play brilliant rugby in the semis as well as the final. So, yes, they'll be disappointed with that performance a little bit, the Bulls, and there's a lot that they can work on heading into their next game. But at the end of the day, like playoff rugby, it doesn't matter how much you win by, it matters that you win. And that's what the Bulls were able to do in their quarterfinal up against Benetton. So whoever wins this game will be facing the Bulls in South Africa. So that is one bonus that the Bulls do have, that home field advantage. For Leinster off their bench, it will be Ronan Kelleher, Healy, as well as Alala Toa as the front row replacements. Maloney, Deegan as the other two forwards, and then McGrath, Prendergast, as well as Kieran Frawley there at number 23. For Ulster, they have got Stewart, Warwick, and Wilson, Jones, and also Ewers as the other forward replacements. Then Doak, McElroy, and also Postlethwaite as the number 23, whose name I may have mispronounced, but if you say it quick enough, sounds like we do know what we are talking about. But looking through at the recent result for these two sides, pretty different games for their last round of the URC. Leinster able to get themselves a comfortable win over Connacht, winning at 33 points to 7, whereas Munster, they needed to get themselves a victory in that game to have the guaranteed first place spot. And even though they were extremely challenged in that game up against the Ulster side, they were still able to get themselves the victory in the end, 29 points to 24. But we are not too far away from the kickoff of this contest, ladies and gentlemen. Stormers or Glasgow? I honestly do think that Glasgow's home field advantage will help them, but I do feel like on paper Stormers have the stronger side. Although they do not have Evan Ruiz in their side. They also don't have Damien Valimza, so those are two big players that they would have loved to have available. When you look through at what they've still got in their side, though, for the Stormers, I just feel like they've got a really good chance. If it was happening in Cape Town, I'd say the Stormers every day of the week. With the fact that it's happening in Scotland, I feel like that's the evening factor, and I do think it's going to be a really close one between those two sides, and I do hope it's about as close as Benetton versus the Bulls was, going down to the wire with just about these 7 points or so between them. But currently there is a premiership final taking place, ladies and gents. Northampton versus Bath. The way that it currently sits, Northampton are 25 points to 21 ahead. We have got there, Hamish, please don't hurt your voice too much this game. The main still awaits you, says Ilmar. I mean, we can't take away from this Irish derby, though. Of course, Leinster versus Ulster, always an entertaining game when it takes place. We've done a lot of days where we've done 12 hours of commentary before, and this one will be no different. So don't worry, the voice will still be here for the Stormers in their contest up against Glasgow. But first of all, we've got a great Irish derby, which will confirm who is going to be going head-to-head with the Bulls in the quarter final. But there's a lot on the line for this game. Two Irish sides that love playing each other. Saw a couple Irish derbies last week, and they certainly delivered. The week prior to that, I think we also saw a few Irish derbies taking place. Or actually, no, it might have been a few weeks prior to that, the last time that we did see Irish sides taking on other Irish teams. Munster versus Connaught took place a few weeks ago. That was 47 points to 12 in favour of Munster. Just trying to find the regular season game between Ulster and Leinster. I actually believe that Ulster were able to get themselves the win in that game, if I'm correct. Just got to find it here for the regular season. I think they won it. I think it was early on in the competition, and I think Leinster ended up losing that game near the end. Connaught versus Munster. Leinster-Ulster, 22 points to 21 in favour of Ulster. That match took place almost 6 months ago. So it's been a little while since they have both played each other. But one thing is for sure, when they do play off, can be extremely entertaining. Of course, Ulster picking up a few less wins than Leinster throughout this season. We have seen more wins for this Leinster side. Just trying to find whether or not they did play them earlier on. No, they did not. In the first round, they versed Glasgow Warriors, in which they were beaten in that one for Leinster. But the Aviva does look like there's a decent attendance for this game. Not quite sold out, to be honest. I think the bottom tier is probably sold out for this matchup, but the top few tiers are still empty in this match. Of course, Leinster, it's going to be their last home game that they will have, I believe, throughout the season due to the Bulls getting themselves the win, unless, of course, something drastic happens and we see both the Bulls and also Munster knocked out in the next stage. That would be the only way that Leinster do get some sort of home game coming up in the later stages of the URC competition. But of course, the Champions Cup did not quite go the way that the Irish were after. They lost in extra time to Toulouse. Antoine Dupont and his side doing extremely well in that contest. We do see now Ulster making their way out of the tunnel, ready for what is going to be a very important contest for them in their overall season. Like I mentioned, they have beaten Leinster before, and that was actually at home in that matchup. A home game for Leinster, that is. And it has just been confirmed that Northampton have won the premiership, so a big congratulations to them. Of course, they are a side that Leinster were able to knock out in the Champions Cup in the semi-finals. They are just showing there Dan Sheehan. Normally a try-scoring machine. This Leinster side are just stacked from start to finish. There is a reason Ulster are considered the underdogs, but sometimes that is what a underdog side needs to be able to then step up to that next level and get themselves a massive win. But Andrew Brace going to be the referee in charge of this one. Brian McNeese, the man in the TMO. Hey there, brother. How's life been since the Bulls game? It's been all right. I did some editing in between the live streams. Got about 20-25 minutes done. And of course, in between these next two streams, we'll try and do the same, maybe 10 or 15 minutes just to squeeze it in. But of course, the game after this one going to be Stormers versus Glasgow. Got 15 minutes of build-up for that game. There will be plenty to talk about, including what has happened in the other quarterfinals. But the whistle has been blown by Andrew Brace, and we are underway for the quarterfinal between Leinster and Ulster. And Leinster has nothing left to play for except a wounded lion. Reply here, says Irish. That is going to be the early penalty going the way of Ulster. I would say that Leinster have everything to play here, to be honest, because they went into that Champions Cup expecting to be able to win after beating La Rochelle. They were defeated by Toulouse. So now a lot of people have said, with the fact that they normally lose in the Champions Cup, they also normally lose in the URC. They want to prove a lot of the naysayers wrong. But yeah, Robbie Henshaw just coming through and taking the man out in the air, about as easy of a penalty as you will ever get. Does apologise straight away. I think he got a little bit too excited there, Robbie Henshaw at the start. But yeah, there's a lot on the line for Leinster because they want to still prove that they not only got through to the Champions Cup final, but they can win a URC title. They are yet to do so. We've seen another Irish side win one in Munster last year. Leinster haven't quite got to the peak of the mountain as of yet in URC terms. Currently on the halfway line, John Cooney searching for this ball in the back of the rolling maul here for Ulster, and that looks like it's going to be well defended by Leinster. In fact, they've been able to not just defend it, but also turn that ball over. Now James Lowe with the attacking run sits down Billy Burns. A few of these men will become teammates in the upcoming Irish tour of South Africa, but for now they are foes. And they have to try and knock each other's heads off. But Osborne with the short ball to Caelan Doris on the halfway line. Of course, the last thing that they want is any sort of injury for some of the key players in this contest. Byrne going off now to Jordan Lama. Taken down on the halfway line by Cormac Izichukwu. Kicked him behind. Territory battle at the moment. That ball's well and truly pumped up. I feel like that is about as much, is it DBI, I think it is, in terms of the amount of ball air that you can put into one. And that one just kept on rolling, but this is actually going back for the original advantage in favour of Leinster. Joe McCarthy, the man who just slowly worked his way through the middle of that rolling maul, did it completely legally. PSI is the one, not DBI, my apologies, I just remembered it. Yeah, that ball was well and truly pumped up because it just kept on rolling and rolling after that grubber from Leinster. Probably rolled a good 40 metres or so. Now kicking towards the corner here, Leinster opting to go for the try possibility rather than the 3. It's a big decision to make early on in a game. Normally they talk about finals and they talk about wanting to take on points when they're available. I believe in their game up against Toulouse, they did the same tactic. They went for the corner more times than they went for the posts. And the end, it ended up costing them. Those extra points that they could have received throughout the regular game could have made the difference. A rolling ball now attempted by Leinster. Breaking off the back is Caelan Norris. Ball is loose. I think Ulster have managed to almost get themselves to turnover there. Maybe a little knock on from Leinster in the breakdown, but it is going to be play on just for now. Josh Van Flair with his piercing run around the side of the breakdown with the pick and go. We need to come away with some silverware after losing the Champions Cup 3 years in a row. Says Anthony Walsh, exactly right. Nice run from Jameson Gibson Park. Around the side of the breakdown, 10 metres out from the line now. Joe McCarthy runs straight at Cormac Izichukwu. And Ulster, they were close to the turnover there. I think they're asking for the penalty, and they have now got the advantage here, Leinster. Crowd starting to chant their name. On across Jameson Gibson Park, short ball to Jamie Osborne, who's knocked the ball on this time. An easier 3 if Leinster wanted, but I believe they will be still opting to go for the corner and try and put the dagger into Ulster early here. This time Izzy Cormac, the man who has been penalised there. Okay, Andrew Brace pretty much saying, don't fall into the breakdown, get out of there a lot quicker. Ross Byrne now kicks it towards the touchline though here for Leinster. It's going to be the opportunity for Dan Sheehan to throw this ball. And of course, he has got a huge amount of tries, not just for Ireland, but also for Leinster throughout this URC season. Wouldn't mind adding another one up against an Irish rival. That's going to be overthrown, though, by Sheehan. It sits up now for the Irish. It's going to be Will Addison crawling his way forward. They'll move to about 15 metres out from their try line here, Ulster. John Cooney able to clear Ulster's lines, doesn't manage to find touch with it. And now, nicely claimed by Jimmy O'Brien. Of course, big chance for him at 15 with Hugo Keenan choosing to go to the 7s. Ireland not quite getting the result that they were after in the last competition, getting knocked out by New Zealand. I think it was in the end. Oh, that's going to be knocked forward from Tyke Verlon, but it came off his boot, so it is play on. Back into position now for Ulster. Cooney goes across Andrew Brace, does a massive hurdle. He stood there as if he was pretty impressed with it as well. Poor Byrne was blamed for the finals loss. Poor Leinster fans, horrible. Blame only a fellow. There's Morse. I think that Leinster, that's the thing. Yes, you could blame Byrne if you really want to do, but there were a few other players who didn't really play the way that they needed to in that game. I think that in terms of the decision making, they also got their selection slightly wrong in that game up against Toulouse. Plus, if you're going to take it to 80 minutes and, you aren't going to score too many tries throughout that period, that is always something that if you lose, it can be your own fault. Really nice run. Short side for Ulster. Well cleaned up by Ross Byrne. Now going short side, Jameson Gizzenbach goes away to Jordan Lama. Puts his grubber in behind. That ball's going to stay in the field of play. And it is grubbered forward even more. Will Edison at the back has to try and clean this one up. And he's managed to break the line here for Ulster, the away side. Tackled by Robbie Henshaw. Cooney goes short side. Off to, it would have been David McCann. Well, this looks like an injury for Edison. What's the time in Kiwiland? At the moment, we are 4:05 a.m. here in New Zealand, so relatively late night for us. We've still got the Stormers versus Glasgow game that we are doing a little bit later on tonight as well, alongside the Springbok squad announcement that will be happening at about 10:30 p.m. South African time. Loden didn't have a good game in the final, threw a few loose balls when he should have kept them in hand. Usually he's great for us. Everyone has bad days. Says Anthony, and yeah, unfortunately, they were just a little bit outplayed at times throughout that final up against Toulouse. They didn't seem confident in what they were trying to do, Leinster, and it did seem like they had a lot of nerves heading into that contest, which maybe that is due to the fact that they have been knocked out by La Rochelle in the last 3 Champions Cup. They finally got past them this year, but then they had to get past another French side, and in the end, they just couldn't get past Toulouse and Antoine Dupont. And yeah, extra time, we just saw Toulouse ramp up, didn't we? Currently 7 minutes through, and we've already got a water break for the players who are looking a little bit tired at the moment. Tom O'Toole looking like his headgear is about maybe 3 sizes too small, squeezing his face more than I'm sure he would have liked. In fact, no, that is Eric O'Sullivan, my apologies. Tom O'Toole's just got a massive mustache. Now, the referee says hurry up and get on with it, boys. We're only 7 minutes in. Going to be the scrum feed here for Ulster. Like I mentioned, they are considered heavy underdogs heading into this contest, but I would not underestimate what this Ulster side can do. Leinster, of course, have got, I guess you could say, results in some extent in their advantage because of the way that they've finished in the URC season. But the last time these two sides played, Ulster winning the game by 1 point, 22 points to 21. Cooney put the ball in to the scrum, about 40 metres out from Leinster's line, and it is a big push from the Leinster boys, but it's out the back door for John Cooney. They've just managed to hang on to it there. Here comes Stuart McCloskey. He'll be fighting for an Irish jersey again. Now, nice run from Izzy Cormack. Gets his offload away. Ulster were looking for that next pass, but unfortunately it's going to be knocked on in the process of the tackle from James Ryan. Leinster take the ball back, but that was the pretty much the closest chance that any of these sides have had to being able to score themselves a try. Currently horrible rugby by both teams. Let's hope for a better 10 to 30 minutes. Have you been watching the first 8 minutes? We just saw a brilliant run through from Ulster. Leinster have had some decent attacking moments. You can try and put your bias away for a second, and I feel like that will help you enjoy this game a little bit more, Morse. And come on, Ulster, upset the Giants, and back with all the knowledge again. There's knowledge there, but just getting his hand in there nicely, James Ryan, to get that turnover required. Currently 9 minutes gone in this contest, so there's going to be a line-out throw here for Ulster. Rob Herring, the man who has got the throw. Now getting ready to throw this ball in. Nicely taken by Ulster. Now going to start with this rolling ball. Being told not to change his mind there, Tyg Furlong. The moment he's just hanging on for dear life in that rolling ball, hoping that he doesn't get shifted. They're currently 20 metres out from the line here for Ulster. Cooney going back across, tack and run forward, but Tyg Furlong makes a low tackle now. John Cooney tries the pick and go around the breakdown. Probably meant the way they were controlling the style of play. Says knowledge and cough says Anuaki, if I said that correctly. Now, good face play coming from Ulster again after the 10 minutes. Izzy Cormac now sitting 12 metres out from the line here for Ulster. They're up to 6 minutes in. Nice pass on the outside. Going away to David McCann. They're 5 metres out at the moment here for Ulster. Yibu. I probably said that worse than the pronunciation of your name, haven't I? But Ulster now, again, they are going to have themselves an attacking opportunity. Got a attack and run from Stuart Moore. Now offloaded up close to the line there for Timoney. He's had a second crack at it and he's going to be held up. But that was close for Ulster, looking to get themselves the early try in this matchup. They have probably looked like the more dangerous side when it comes to attack throughout this throughout this first half. So far, throughout the first 10 minutes, they just want to check this one. Sounds like they are going to go upstairs. McClousey has convinced them to have a look first, mate. Says and jabs in there as well. Is this going to be the first try in this contest? Which side you're rooting for, says Knowledge. Yeah, great run from Timoney. Held up by Joe McCarthy initially, and he was short. Then he tries crawling forward, and I believe he was still held up. What do you guys think, Stormers or Glasgow for the win and why, says 17? I know you asked that on the last one. But for me, if the Stormers are to win, they have to start the match well. Because up against Glasgow, while they are at home, you know, you have to get off to a great start. Better chance for the Bulls, says Anuaki. And there as well for if the Ulster side were to get themselves a win. But yeah, this one's looking held up. Doesn't look like there's a clear grounding for Nick Timoney. I want Ulster to win so that it's easier for the Bulls to have an advantage in the final. But would you not want to beat Leinster? You know, like, of course, you're in that situation of you want the easier game to get through to the final. But wouldn't you love to say that you beat Leinster in a semi-final to go through to the final? I feel like that's something that quite a few South Africans probably want. You know, they want to verse the best sides in the competition. Leinster players look tired and not focused. Ulster, you can take this. Leinster not in a good space, says Morse, so that one's going to go into touch. It was almost a positive that you said there, Morse. You got close to a positive. You just had a negative in there as well. You know what, Morse? I want you to say one good thing about Leinster. This is like counselling. You got to say one good thing about them. See whether you can do it. I think it's going to hurt you, though. Stormers, but Glasgow is a tough team as well. To be fair, Leinster looks bad at the moment, says Anuaki, I believe it would be, actually. It's important for Ulster to win if the Stormers want a home final. If they get there, says Barry Green, stolen by Izzy Cormac. Had a line-out time, but they are going back for the original knock-on. And can Ulster pull off the unexpected here and win? Leicester is their favourite to win, says Blues Nate. But yeah, Ulster, when I saw the odds, like, they were considered as the same underdogs as the opposite side in Benetton in their game up against the Bulls. But I honestly didn't see how they could be considered as such a big underdog. But, you know, it happens. It doesn't matter who we beat, Hamish, as long as the trophy comes to Loftus, says Knowledge. That would be ideal for the Bulls, of course, and themselves some trophy, because they haven't actually won the URC yet. We saw the Stormers win it. We saw Munster win it. Of course, the two sides that could be playing each other in the semi-final on this side of the draw actually would have never lifted the trophy of the URC. And Ulster must win the Bulls to have it in Cape Town, South Africa, where I live. I'm a Morse Stormer. We don't want a home semi or a final. I want them to play away from Cape Town. I let them free and travel and see what they are made of, says Morse. It'll be interesting. Cape Town Stadium, I corrected you. I think Stormers by 2 to 5 points, and this is the knockout stage. Every team gets nervous in the first 8 to 10 minutes. Says Knowledge. This ball is going to be kicked up high. Nicely taken by Stuart Moore under the high ball, 40 metres out the line at the moment. Ulster again look to use their backline. In fact, no, Cooney's going to go with a box kick. Down towards the 22. Well taken. No, it's going to be knocked on by Ulster. I hope for Leinster to win. Says 17 there. Now Tyke Furlong tackled on the 22. Again, they have been told to use it Leinster to win, says Carmen. I hope Ulster win, says Connor. So it seems relatively split. At the moment, Leinster not looking good, no hunger. Yeah, but you got to give them one good praise. Something about their season, Morse. One good thing that Leinster have done. Do let me know. Let's see if you can do it. Currently 14 minutes in at the moment. Both of these sides sitting on 0, which of course increases the chances for Ulster in this matchup. And Ulster might pull off an upset. Says Knowledge there. And like that's the thing. They've got huge potential in this game, Ulster, because like people weren't expecting them to do well in this game. Even though like the last time that these two sides played, of course it was extremely close. It's a joke, Knowledge, saying it's coming home to Cape Town, says Bystander. And also we have good there, will Ulster be at home if they win? They will probably not be. I think the only way for Ulster to get the home final would be if pretty much every other top side got knocked out in the whole competition. So it would have to be Ulster versus... Oh, in fact, no, they can't even get a home semi the way that it is set up. They will be away from home all the way. If Leinster lose today, Leo Cullen will be replaced. But have you got like something nice to say about Leinster? We're going to get one out of you before the end of the live stream. Also, I do have a question, Morse. Does your hatred for Leinster come from the Irish international team, or is it actually based off club rugby? Because I know that there's a few people who really dislike Leinster because of all the Irish internationals, and of course there's that rivalry between Ireland and the Springboks that has started to form over the last few years. So is it from the international side of things, or is it from the club level that you don't like Leinster? Hamish, you still sounding great after all your commentary today, says Brian. Yeah, hopefully the voice does last for another 4 or so hours of the commentary that we've got remaining. 15 minutes in, Jameson Gibson Park has the possession here for Leinster. Sitting 43 metres out from the line now. Still sitting 0-0 between these two sides. We'll be live with the Stormers game. We certainly will be. Stormers in Glasgow going head-to-head after this game is over. And then the Springboks will announce their side for Wales. Nice run forward from Jimmy O'Brien. In fact, this time it is Jamie Osborne. He's too serious for jokes, says Bystander. Is there a win predictor for this game? So the odds in terms of the New Zealand TAB had the same odds as Bulls versus Benetton. So Ulster were about $9 underdogs in this match, which I found was way too against them. To be honest, like I feel like an Irish derby always seems to be a little bit close, with the exception of Connaught. I love Leinster, Hamish, just don't like their pundits. Okay, so it's the pundits that get your blood boiling rather than the team itself. I can understand that. Has our very good team been named? Not yet, but they will be named after Stormers versus Glasgow, which is only about 4 hours away from concluding. Hard games was good for the Bulls, says Outlaw. And let's get it, Ulster. Come on, lads, get in there. And it might be really great if Damien Valimza wins the league this year. 2 major trophies in 2 consecutive years, says Knowledge. Although he is currently injured, so unfortunately he will not be playing in those finals games. Marnie Libok, though, finds himself in that same boat. Getting work towards the touchline, running that one out is Robbie Henshaw. Ulster currently winning the territory battle. 17 minutes in at the moment. It's still 0-0 between these two sides. Ulster can upset, but I think they are not strong enough for the Bulls. The Leinster style is too good for the Bulls, says Ilmar there. And also, let's get it, Ulster. Come on, lads, get in there. Rushy should put the new B team on. It's Wales, says Knowledge. Well, he's probably going to have to because, of course, the Bulls players are no longer eligible for selection for the Springboks for that warm-up game up against the Welsh. The other equation is if the Stormers win their game up against Glasgow, they are no longer eligible to be selected for the box. So then it will be a team made up of the Sharks and the Lions, more than likely, plus a few players from Japan, I believe, will also be making the return. Knowledge that would cause major waves, says Anunnaki. Where does New Zealand versus us Neil? It's Neil. What's that second word supposed to be? Oh yeah, I've got there. Hamish, watch the space. Watch Sasha in tandem with Marnie Libok tonight, destroying the Scottish midfield, says Morse. Looks like Izzy Cormac's actually going to make his way from the field here. Some sort of injury. For that man, I think it might have been a head knock. Ulster is not going to beat Leinster. They haven't this season. You guys should relax. No, they have this season. They won against them 22 points to 21. The last time that these two sides played, and the only time that they have played throughout the season, we did see Ulster win up against Leinster. And just to add insult to injury, that was actually a home game for Leinster. Fun fact. And currently now, of course, there it is. Ulster versus Leinster, 21 points to 22. That was in January. They were able to get themselves the victory. Rasi will play young talent plan for 2027 Rugby World Cup has started. South Africa does. I don't have to justify winning the World Cup. It's planning stages now. Says Arthur. And Leinster is a quality team, so it will be difficult for Ulster to win. Says 17. Now, currently, Ulster are in possession. It was very close. The ref was on their side, Hamish. Still, you did say that they hadn't won the season, and they have. 1 point difference in their favour. This one could come down to 1 point as well. Kicked in behind from Ulster. Nicely claimed inside of the 22 by Jimmy O'Brien, and it is charged down by Ulster. We're still applying plenty of pressure. I'm at the game, says Hi. Welcome in. Whereabouts are you sitting? Hopefully you are in the shade. It looks like a nice sunny afternoon there for this contest, which is great to see for a quarter final. Of course, all the other games, I believe, haven't been contested with rain, which is ideal. Can completely change the way that a game is played. In fact, while we are at it, while we're waiting for this line out, I'm quickly going to check the Glasgow weather report. See what we can find. Line out throw, nicely taken by Leinster. Inside of their 22. Now it's going to be Josh Van den Flair running his way forward. It's difficult for teams to win at Loftus. Sears Outlaw. When it's New Zealand versus Australia. Are you talking rugby union, Connor? Because that is going to be in July, I believe. That's when that is going to be taking place. It's going to be kicked high onto the halfway line. Drop ball coming from Stuart Moore, but Will Addison manages to keep it on the side of Ulster. A lot of pressure coming in the breakdown from Leinster. Haven't really had a huge amount of possession throughout the early stages of this one, but we have videos, says Messiah. Sadly, due to licensing, any match footage or audio gets you taken straight off YouTube. So sadly, we aren't actually able to show any match footage or audio, but the URC website will have highlights coming up straight afterwards, right? There's a little bit of a chance of rain in an hour's time for the Glasgow matchup, but hopefully it is only just a passing shower. It doesn't affect that game too much. The crowd is amazing, quite the opposite for the opposing team. Says Knowledge, while taking under the high ball again there for Jamie Osborne. Tyke Furlong. Trying to spin out of that one, but he has been dragged down now. Jameson Gibson Park. Going to get ready for this box kick. Does put it nice and high. Well handled by Stuart Moore. He's been busy throughout the early stages of this match. 20 minutes in, 0-0. And the bookies still here are giving 6-1 for Ulster to win. Says Anthony. To be honest, like for us here in New Zealand, they were 9-1 to win this contest. I couldn't quite believe the odds. But I assume that's because they think that Leinster are going to come right in the second half and really find their momentum. And normally when Leinster do score one try, they can score a few afterwards. Ulster had a close game with Munster last week, whereas Leinster had a bit more of a one-sided one. Here we go. This is their first opportunity to run through. Sell a dummy there from Jamie Osborne. Goes on the outside. And Robbie Henshaw will score the first match of the match. First try of the match, I should say, for Leinster. So it's disappointed in the Sharks. How are we not talking about that? Even though they won the Challenge Cup, it's a bit low for a team of their calibre, says Knowledge. Definitely with the amount of skill and the amount of players that the Sharks have actually got available for this season. Although I have seen their names who are leaving, and there's a list of about 15 Sharks players who are going to different clubs. Japan beat the Box. Tons of hope for Ulster to win, says Bystander. Yeah, including the Bulls. But yeah, nice run from Jamie Osborne. He didn't give the pass away to Jameson Gibson Park, which at the time seemed like a bad decision. But he just took the contact, then passed it. Yeah, I think Gibson Park was disappointed. He assumed that the chance was gone, but then Henshaw was in the right place at the right time to receive that next one. And then they finished the job there. Robbie Henshaw, the Irish international, scoring as the 13, which is actually the temperature at the moment in Glasgow. High of 15 at the moment, but currently sitting 13 degrees. Ross Byrne now ready to line up this kick. So the Sharks players going to Munster. I mean, there's a lot of guys going overseas. I'm not sure about how many are heading to Munster. I know that we're going to see RG Snyman. I think he's going to be making his way back to South Africa, isn't he, for the next season. The Sharks, they have signed Jason Jenkins. They have signed Trevor Nakanye, and they've also got Andre Esterhazen as another player heading to the Sharks. Kerwin Bosch leaving says it all. Back to the drawing board for the Sharks. Says knowledge. And pure luck for Ulster to go over for 3 tries. Says bystander. Yeah, eventually, surely, like, one of those tries is credible, isn't it? If you get 3 tries in a match. But James and Gibson Park, after that successful conversion coming from Ross Byrne, it does make the score 7-0 in favour of Leinster. Going to Leinster, no. That might be correct. Yeah, I think he is heading to Leinster, as well as Taniela Tupou actually going to be going to Leinster for next season. And come on, Leinster, says Brian. Most of them are going to Europe. Not Will Jacques is the main coach. Not Will Jacques is the main coach. Says knowledge. And Starman going to Leinster with Geordie Barrett. Says Andrew. Nicely claimed by McCann. Now on the halfway line here for Ulster. They'll be disappointed that they are the first side to concede a try in this match. Definitely with some of the early attacking chances that they have had in this first half. Now Addison puts the pass on the outside. Some nice pace being shown by Michael Lowry. Gets it out wide to David McCann. It's already up to about 5 carries throughout this first half. I also want Jacques to win the league. Such a good, great coach. Says knowledge. Now, big run forward from Stuart McCloskey. Names do not win games. The spirit of the team makes them a good side. Says Outlaw, that's going to be a grubber in behind. I mean, names do help a little bit, though. You got to admit, like, if you look at someone like who's a good example? Someone like a Portugal, for instance. Like, they are a side that, of course, have a lot of heart and they've got a good team environment, but at the same time, you put them up against a side with some good names in there and they will lose, unfortunately. Yes, they are a bit more competitive than they used to be, but names do still help. I want Ulster. I win, obviously, but Leinster on paper will win, seeking an easier route for the Bulls. Says a bystander. Although I'd ask the question, if Leinster are currently out of form, are Ulster really the easier side to face? Because Ulster, some would argue, based off their recent form, have actually looked, they've looked pretty solid. Maybe a little bit underestimated by quite a few people. And yeah, of course, says Outlaw, unfortunately, Ulster do not have the heart to, and they know it. Says knowledge. Now, 25 minutes in, it is going to be another line-out throw here, stolen by Leinster, although bounces back up, and claimed by Tom O'Toole. Now, Cooney looping around. It is going to be the big man at number 1, Eric O'Sullivan. Cooney back into the pocket now. Looks like they're going for the kick up high into the 22, looking straight into the sun here for Leinster's 15. It's going to be knocked on by Will Addison. They've got themselves the knock-on advantage here for Leinster. He's being told to use it. Gibson Park puts it back into the pocket. And Byrne will look for the touchline. Doesn't manage to find it, though. I'm not sitting comfortably yet. Ulster have beaten us twice. Says O'Brien there. Now looking for the 50. 22. It's been attempted, but the bounce of the ball is not favourable. Gibson Park takes it very nicely. Keeps the ball alive. Offloads it to Jordan Lama. And they've gone from being under pressure there, Leinster, to being able to move right up to their 22. Can't imagine how hard it is to see that the Sharks were not in the top 10. Says knowledge. And maybe that's why he left. Knew that they were at this stage for their season anyway. It hasn't been the best one, but maybe next year Sharks can do a lot better. They've already qualified for the Champions Cup as well, which is a big bonus for them. And one is going to be kicked into touch by Jameson Gibson Park. One moment, I am about to sneeze, so I will quickly mute, so you guys don't have to listen to me do it. We are good. Well done from Jameson Gibson Park, like I mentioned, to keep that ball inside of the field of play from inside of his 22 under pressure. Looks like McCloskey might have, I was going to say a knee injury, but this actually looks like a bit of a slice on that kneecap of McCloskey, just below it. Looks like he is bleeding flat out. Not what he would have been after at this stage of the match. Of course, later on tonight, we are going to get to see the announcement of the Springboks for their game up against Wales That is one to eagerly await. Of course, before that, though, we have got another match that has taken place, and that is going to be the Stormers away from home up against the Glasgow Warriors. See, I left because the price was right, let's be honest. Says knowledge. I mean, money does talk. And yes, loyalty, like, that's the thing. I feel like there's a I was going to say miscommunication, but that's not the word that I'm after. A misconception, that's the word that we want. There's a misconception that if you take a big money deal overseas, you're not loyal to your club. But at the same time, you know, like, you've only got a certain window where you can play rugby for before you have to retire. So if there's a big money deal overseas that you can make the most of, you know, like, loyalty, of course, people think you're going to stay at a club for your whole career, but at the same time, you've got to make your money while you're still playing. Jimmy O'Brien looking for the offload. That's going to be knocked on there from Ulster. Ball sits back up for Jordan Lama. Now Gibson Park going across to Andrew Porter. This Leinster backline now starting to look a little bit smoother. Kicked him behind from Robbie Henshaw. And he's going to kick it out only about 3 metres out from Ulster's line. A very good kick in behind from Robbie Henshaw. It's just to put that little bit more pressure on. Make it a bit more tricky for Ulster to be able to exit from inside of their own 22. When Leinster start moving, they do look dangerous. It's all making sense, mate. Says bystander. Must be an absolute hit in social events. I don't really know what that means. Says knowledge. Now currently 10 metres out from their own line here. Ulster looking back into the pocket. Finding the hands, and this one will go into touch from Jacob Stockdale. He's playing out on the left wing, but I think that's the first time we've actually mentioned that man's name throughout this contest. They haven't really been able to find him too efficiently throughout this first 29 minutes. Currently just the one try coming in this contest for Leinster, being scored by Robbie Henshaw. Hamish is more excited about the Springbok team announcement than I am, but predictable. Saw the training camp photos. Evan Rose Nohamba. You know, Evan Rose should still be in with the Stormers if they make their way through to the next stage in the competition. And also Nohamba is currently out with an HIA, so I don't believe he'll actually be back in time to play in that next game. I think his concussion protocol might still actually keep him out for a little bit longer. That's an awkward shot on Ross Byrne, and the penalty does go the way of Leinster for the high shot from Will Addison. Such a silent game, to be honest. Says knowledge. It's going to be a penalty only. I have a dictionary, that helps. And yeah, it does look like Ross Byrne has stayed down just for now. Maybe a nose injury from that big shot coming in on him. Already 27 minutes through. This is about as easy of a 3-point as Leinster would have throughout this game. Yeah, the initial hit was below the head, but then it was actually the hands that came around and slapped Ross Byrne in the head. It sounds like it will be Bulls and Leinster in the semi. Says Outlaw, there is a chance that is the case. Are they going upstairs to check this one? I think they are. Now, I do feel bad for the Ulster tackler in this scenario because Ross Byrne has turned his back. So by turning his back, he has made himself susceptible to receiving a strike to the face, because normally you would end up hitting him on his back in that scenario, but it looks like they have looked at it and they have said, yeah, exactly what I have, which is they couldn't really tackle anywhere else. Gave you enough stick. Let's enjoy the game. Come on, Ulster. So here's a bystander. Mate, you're clearly Irish. He's not. Right, they are going to take on the shot at the post here. Ross Byrne only just having his nose patched up now as to try and line up this next kick. This would give them a 10-point lead in this contest here for Leinster. Massively beneficial, definitely in a final, just to keep that scoreboard ticking over. All right, Ulster have to move back 10 metres. And the clock is now being turned back on. My guess is Bulls versus Leinster, Munster versus the Warriors, or Stormers. Not sure about that one, says Brian. What are you on about, lol? Come on, Leinster. Says, Knowledge Rugby is a funny game. It can change. Says Outlaw, exactly right. Like, 10 points is very handy for Leinster, of course, but Ulster are not out of this game as of yet. If they can score themselves a try before the end of the first half, they are well and truly in it. But that is a good kick from Burn, has got it over. And that is now going to make the score 10 points to 0 in favour of the home side. Of course, the last time that these two sides played, it was 1 point difference. Stormers versus the Bulls in the final. Says Chanel. Is going to be easy win for Leinster. Ulster got no X factor. Reckless Ulster tackle. Says Morse. Nicely taken. Just inside of their 22 by Leinster. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, at times Ulster have probably looked like the more dangerous attacking side, but it's just the lack of chances that have led them to being 10-0 down. They had one really good chance and then they were held up. I think it was Nick Timoney almost crossed the try line. That is well taken at the back from Stuart Moore again. Working overtime. The back for Ulster. Now Cooney is going to be tackled just on the 40-metre line. Munster versus Bulls in the final. Says Sabello there. Of course, that would be a home game for Munster. If that was the case, and Leinster have got themselves another penalty here. In the breakdown, Joe McCarthy really starting to become a handful for opposition, whether that's at international level or looking at him for Leinster. He already got the turnover in the rolling ball earlier on in this contest. Will be Stormers will win 20 plus points. Really? I think that's the boldest prediction that we've heard for that Stormers Glasgow game. Like, don't get me wrong, a lot of people feel like the underdog, the Stormers, can get themselves the win up against Glasgow, but the highest I've seen someone back the Stormers to win is by 5 points. So 20 plus points is a massive call when they're away from home. But who knows? Glasgow probably haven't quite been putting together results that they've been after. I'll take a QPT Stormers win any day, which it's going to be tonight. Is that supposed to be a 1 point game maybe? I think, yeah, 1 point win for my Stormers. I was looking at my keyboard going, Q's very close to 1, so maybe you just slipped it before you quite got to the button. I had the like and sub, ladies and gents, says bystander. Anyone who is new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're back for the semi-final, both of them, that are taking place in URC and Super Rugby. And also, we are going to be covering the Springboks announcement for the squad. And also, a little bit later on, we have got the game between Glasgow and the Stormers that is also going to be taking place. Another attack and run here for Leinster. Jameson gives them back, goes on the outside to James Lowe. I think you're right, Warriors will do it. But just have a hunch that it's going to be extremely close, says Brian. Another opportunity here for Leinster to mount a bit of an offense. They're on the 22. Gibson Park goes across to Ross Byrne and behind to James Ryan, who shut down pretty early. Now back across again here, Robbie Henshaw. Sitting currently 22 metres out. Byrne with the inside ball. Great flat run from James Lowe. He had the men with him, but he didn't need them. He scores it himself, James Lowe. And that will be now the second try of the match for Leinster. This one is starting to get a lot more one-sided now, ladies and gents. After the second try has been scored by Leinster, they are now up by 15 with a kick to come. Going into halftime, they could even find themselves with a 20-plus lead if they can get one more try. Ulster, unfortunately, they've found it hard to defend against a few of the big Leinster backs, whether that's James Lowe, whether it is also going to be that great attack and run normally from Robbie Henshaw or Jamie Osborne. And yeah, second try coming for Leinster, and James Lowe breaking through 2 tackle attempts. Almost injured his knee in the process. Luckily did not. We have got there, it's rugby. It's all about physicality at the end of the day, and Glasgow dominate that. Says Knowledge. And sure, South African. Wait, no, safely South African, says Knowledge. I think you're right, Warriors will do it. But I just have a hunch that it's going to be extremely close, and I think Glasgow can win due to them being home. But the Stormers are something different. when it comes to knockout round and being the underdogs. So Bulls are at home versus Leinster if they pull this off. Exactly right. Yep, they will have to head to South Africa for Leinster, which will be a nice little preview of what we're going to see in the Irish versus South African internationals that are coming in July, the 2-match series between the teams. We are also going to be covering those ones on the channel. And Storm is going to win Glasgow with all their reject. South African says Morse. And Glasgow cannot creep in. It's not scripted, says bystander. That one is going to be put into touch. Ulster now have got themselves another line out. Ross Byrne saying that is not where the ball went out. Now that's normally the perfect way of annoying a touch judge, and he will give you less meters the next time that you kick the ball into touch. So I feel like Ross Byrne, as much as he wanted to complain there, probably would have been better off just shutting his mouth. Just home from work, what did I miss? Says Richard there. That's going to be the line out here for Ulster. So far we've seen the 2 tries for Leinster, 1 for Henschel, 1 for Lowe, and then also the 3 points added on as well. Munster versus Leinster as the final, says Brian. Now, Nick Timoney claiming this one for Ulster. They're being told to use it. Munster Bulls final, Jake White is cooking, says Knowledge. Tyke Furlong trying to stop him. But the number 10 always gobby, says Anthony Walsh. Now, 30 metres out from the line here for Ulster. This looks like an injury here for maybe David McCann. Might be the man that is down at the moment for this Ulster side. They look to pass it back across. Looks like he's got some sort of facial injury here. In fact, it might have actually been a head knock. It looks like maybe the nose. He was kind of going like this. But at the same time, of course, they went a little bit too close to them, so they do have to go with the player safety side of things by stopping the match. Make sure that he is going to be okay. I think Ross Byrne was asking the referee about something else. But it just took place, all Ulster, for the first 10 minutes of the game, and then it ended. Says Albert, find New Zealand tribes so unique, especially the backstory of the haka. Says Knowledge. Now, 3.5 minutes still remaining in this first half between the two sides. Currently 17-0 in favour of Leinster. Looks like it's going to be the scrum feed for Ulster due to that stoppage that we just witnessed for the player injury. Looks like at this stage, is he going to continue? Looks like it. They have already lost Izzy Cormack due to a head knock. Certainly didn't want to lose another one. Leinster in second gear, and they're still going to win by 20. Ulster have nothing, no one taking them over the gain line. Okay, my McCloskey further, no one. Vermeulen was a great player, coach for them. He carried them. Says Morse. And Proteas are 12 for 4 against the Netherlands. Netherlands scored 102, but 12 for 4 is not the best start for the South Africans in the batting. Be sure to provide us with updates throughout the rest of the game, Birdie, if you don't mind. Of course, if you are still on the stream, that is. But yeah, I'm curious to see how many underdogs actually win throughout the T20 World Cup, because we're already seeing quite a few managing to pull off wins over the big sides. Currently 30 metres out from the line again here for Ulster. Will do, brother. Says Birdie, much appreciated. And thank you for breaking South African hearts, mate, says Bystander. Game's not over yet, though, Bystander, so there's still hope for them in that one. Like I said, that Leinster defensive line is just very hard to break through. David McCann, another tackle made on him. It bounces out the back door. Cooney, I think they've got the penalty advantage now for Ulster. Bounces out and they will go back, I believe, for this original penalty. Afghanistan bowled New Zealand out for 75. They certainly did. New Zealand got absolutely dominated by the Afghanistan team. We've seen some big upsets. I mean, the USA beating Pakistan was a big win for them. I think Canada beat Scotland, did they? We are 5th over now. Says Birdie V. The rugby of Ulster is one-dimensional. No age rugby. Leinster not even out of third gear. Leinster by 21 points. Says Morse. And Leinster have already won. Says knowledge there, although Ulster, they've got a chance here to score before the end of the first half. Might be a bit of the difference maker for them. They can get over the try line here. They're 5 metres out. Ulster throwing it in was Rob Herring. Well claimed by Harry Sheridan. Now 1 minute remaining in this first half here for Ulster. They want to march to the try line for Leinster. They are trying to defend. That's going to be an advantage against Caelan Doris. This might even be a yellow card because he has gone straight in through the side in a legal manner. Short ball going to Will Addison. Ulster can always pull through. It's rugby. It can go either way, says Sweaty Turtle there. Now only 5 metres out still for Ulster. South Africa hasn't seen a full-strength Leinster team yet. I think they'll be too much for the balls. That is close. It's a knock-on. They'll go back for the original penalty. This has to be close to a last warning, I would think. Okay, Caelan Doris was saying he was connected a little bit high. South Africa about to lose to the Netherlands in the T20 World Cup. And cricket in shambles, mind effery. Thanks for the update. There's a bystander there. Now they are going to be kicking this one towards the touchline again here for Ulster as this just ticks over to the halftime siren. Last chance of the half for Ulster to get themselves some form of points throughout this first 40 minutes. Which has gone pretty quick, to be honest. It's been a free-flowing half of rugby between the two sides. Can Ulster get some sort of reward, though? It's going to be overthrown. Nicely claimed by Dor. In fact, it was Josh Van den Flare, but the penalty goes the way of Ulster. And we got a double blow of the whistle now. Obviously, Leinster will probably beat the Bulls. The Bulls are certainly going to give them a hard game. Won't be so easy. I like they have it today. Referee giving the warning to James Ryan. Okay, there was a bit of a miscommunication there between James Ryan and the referee. Referee was saying number 5 has been penalised for pulling the arm down. And then the referee said, you're not 5 though, you're 4, aren't you? And James Ryan said, no, I'm 5. So then referee went from saying that number 5 did it to you did it. He said, any more penalties down here? And Leinster will be going to the bin. Now another line-out throw here for Ulster. Ready to chuck this one in, and it's a stolen ball again for Leinster. They boot it into touch, and that is going to be half-time between these two sides. The score sitting in favour of Leinster, 17 points to 0. If the Bulls play like they did today against Benetton, it's going to be a dark day for the Bulls next week. It's going to be a game at Loftus, of course. Middle of the night contest for us here in New Zealand. I'm not sure whether or not the time has been confirmed for that game as of yet. We'll have a quick look, but we will also get some stats to do with this game. See who is doing better in the stats department. So far, in terms of the stats, we have seen the 2 tries coming for the Leinster side. They have managed to get themselves a try of James Ryan. Or sorry, not James Ryan, James Lowe. And then also Robbie Henshaw, the other man who was able to score it. They've had just a little bit over 50%, 52% in terms of possession. 16 defenders beaten compared to the 5 of Ulster. We've also seen less territory for Leinster, but they have only missed 5 tackles. 93% of their tackles have been made, as opposed to Ulster, who have only made 81% of their tackles. Bookies, Leinster versus Munster. Leinster by 1 point, win a lot. Says bystander. And Hamish, that's enough. I'm here now. Says rugby, welcome in. Hope you are keeping well. Of course, we got another game just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. That'll be the contest between the Stormers and also the Glasgow Warriors. Now, that game is going to be kicking off at, I believe, it's 6:35 a.m. New Zealand time, but we are starting at 6:20 a.m. New Zealand time. When Ulster made the semis, they had a dominant maul led by Vermeulen and McCloskey and a good 13 and 14. Currently, they have nothing, only an injury-prone McCloskey and bit players. So here's Morse. Ulster unable to convert. Leinster have this one in the bag as expected. Says Rugby here as well. But yeah, currently 17-0 in this contest. We have seen terms of defenders beaten. Caelan Doris has bet 3. Jamie Osborne has had the most running metres out of any player on the field with 53. Most metres for Ulster coming in the form of Will Addison. Did have himself 31 metres carried. And then number of tackles, Caelan Doris has made 12 throughout this half. Tom O'Toole making 8 for Ulster. And then 2 turnovers won by Joe McCarthy, who's been extremely handy anytime this ball has gone to the breakdown. But the semi-finals, of course, are just around the corner. The times are confirmed. One game will be taking place at 2 a.m. I believe that is 2 a.m. New Zealand time. And then 5 a.m. New Zealand time. Both are to be confirmed. Bulls better learn how to receive from kickoffs. Yeah, it was pretty weird, the way that they were dropping the ball pretty much each and every time off the kickoff, which was unexpected, definitely in that second half, after a decent first half performance from the Bulls. Not many in the crowd. Don't blame them, as Leinster are known as the Blue Bottlers, as they bottle everything. So here's a Rugby in there as well. Though so far throughout this game, they have looked strong. At times, Ulster have fired back quite well, but they haven't been able to turn it into any points, which I think is the big bonus for Leinster in this contest, being 17-0 up. They'll be pretty happy with that one. 17-8 was the score between the Vodacom Bulls and Benetton, I believe, at half-time, if I'm correct. So a little bit more one-sided. Then that game, the Bulls had a big statement win against Benetton. Would give them more confidence, but they didn't. Benetton had been going on to Munster, or Glasgow Warriors. They lose by 25. Although, do you also wonder if, because the Bulls didn't win so comfortably, I honestly feel like that might actually help them a little bit heading into their next game, because they can't get complacent. They know that they've got a lot of things that they've got to work on, whereas if they won that game comfortably, then maybe they wouldn't have felt like they needed to do as much to fix it. The Bulls have lots of star players out. Well, that's not the problem. Jake White is not a thoroughbred Bull. He will always, or they will always have inconsistency. Bulls need a thoroughbred Bull coach. JVG is. There's a Morse. Zikwu are going off turning the game in Leinster's favour. I'd like to see him on the tour to the box. Says Rugby there. I believe he's from Wales bystander. Says the Blues, no. You are from Ireland, according to knowledge. I'm guessing New Zealand. With the Blues, says bystander. And also, I have £10,000 on the Storm as 20 plus points. Wait, so do they have to win by 20 plus points, Chanel, or do they just need to score 20 plus points? Because there's a big difference. Hamish, you look like you need a nap, mate. Well, we have been up for like a good 20 hours or so, somewhere around there, I would say. But that's all right. I'm saying your region, mate. Says the bystander. Second half, very close to getting underway. Leinster still have got the lead by these 17 points, but I'm hoping to see a little bit of fight back from Ulster in the second half off their bench. They have got a few good options, although we've already seen one change made, which is Jones. He is out there on the field for Cormac. Did have to go off earlier on with the HIA. Still got Ewers as another forward option, alongside Stewart, Warwick and Wilson as the front row replacements. For Leinster, they have got Kelleher, Healy and Alalatoa. Also Prendergast, Crawley and McGrath as the back replacements. Just looking at that James Lowe try again. It was just a very good, strong carry from him. The Jimmy O'Brien assist the try before when he did, Jamie Osborne assist when he did get the ball away to Robbie Henshaw. Managed to go on and score himself his first try of this quarterfinal. Hope to see Sam getting on soon. And also we have got there, that's a point, Hamish. But I would compare playing Benetton and then a full strength Leinster team. It's another level. Says Brian. But then, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the Bulls, I feel like they're almost not so much peaking at the wrong time, but they seem like they aren't quite where they want to be, if that makes sense. Now we have got there. Hamish is so sleep deprived. He thinks he is one of the 130 genders. So here's a bystander. Second half, very close. My eyes are certainly bloodshot though, which is why I'm also not making sentences that well. But we will be awake, hopefully, for the next game as well as the second half of this contest. It's always brutal with the halftime breaks. They are normally when the sleep really does start to kick in. But the next game, Glasgow Warriors versus the Stormers. Straight after that, the Springboks are going to be announcing their squad to take on the Welsh. So we are, of course, going to be doing a video based around that. Then from there, I'll probably be up for another 3 or so hours doing some more editing. And then I think by about 2 p.m. tomorrow, or later on today, in about 10 hours' time, that is when we will be able to go to sleep for a few hours. And Ball's not playing like the real DNA Blue Bulls. Hawson are too inconsistent, says Morsel, though he had a very good run in that last match, didn't he, with that breaking one. He was thinking about going for the kick, but instead opted to go for the run instead and managed to assist the try, or almost assist the try. Hamish, your grind is real, says bystander. You need some blue light protector glasses. I had some. I don't know what happened to them, to be honest. They were somewhere. I think all my other glasses have completely disappeared, which is a big shame. Are there any pairs lying around? Doesn't look like it. I had a couple fancy pairs of sunglasses, but it doesn't look like any of them are still close by, which is a bit of a shame. That's a one bystander. So here's a Blues Nate there. I haven't really got that many goodies on my desk in terms of exciting objects. Bit of a shame. Hectic, mate. Long day ahead, says Martin. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we've been going, this is our 5th live stream, so we're up to about 9 hours already of commentary, and we've still got another 3 and a bit hours to go remaining in the day, plus that video. Hopefully by then, I still have a voice. That is my main concern, that as soon as I stop talking after that Stormers versus Glasgow game, my voice is going to disappear, and the voice won't come back for that video. It's now 9 or 10 URC wins in a row for Munster. Tell you what, they're getting up there, aren't they? And they had a really good finish to their season, which is how they managed to get themselves into first place on the overall standings. Because I remember when they were about 6th. Hamish, 9 hours, you need a beer. Says Manny M, it looks like it's over for Ulster. Says Outlaw, yeah, unfortunately it does look like it has gone more in favour of Leinster than Ulster would have liked. Just showing a little highlights package here of the different sides in the URC. So there the Sharks and the Storm has popped up on the screen. Hawson is for a season pro. Can't imagine or can't manage and give the kill shot. Rugby is not only about running with the ball. You need to play the percentages, and as the navigator, he needs to manage the game better. And someone pass Hamish a bottle of tequila. He's streaming from New Zealand, says Martin Jordan. I certainly am. So we're currently sitting at 5 a.m. here in New Zealand. First live stream that we started was 4:30 p.m. yesterday in New Zealand. So we've been going for over 12 hours. I want to see drunk Hamish commentary. Sounds fun, says Rugby. Normally when I get sleep deprived, that is almost the equivalent of drunk commentary. Sounds like both of these sides are about to make their way out of the tunnels again. Let's get the Kiwi lads more exposure. It's Hamish with Ninja Bomb and go poof. Create links and let's get the name out. Says bystander. Ulster, the away side, making their way out of the tunnel. They're going to need a big second half here if they want to get themselves the victory. They are currently down by 17, which is a mountain to climb, but we'll have to wait and see exactly how it ends up going. Must be fun. I'm in South Africa, came from the Bulls match a few minutes ago. Says Martin Jordan. Well, hopefully you did enjoy the atmosphere. I mean, pretty close game for the quarterfinals, but the Bulls doing well to get the job done in the end. Of course, the next game that we are doing is Stormers versus Glasgow. Yes, I've been drinking, mate, says bystander. And what's the Proteas score, ladies? Says Morse. And I think I pick Hearing over Kelleher on the bench against the Box. What's your thoughts, Hamish? Oh, it's an interesting take, isn't it? It depends on what type of the game you're looking at in terms of late. Like, Hearing's been pretty consistent throughout the season. A few other options as well outside of Leinster and Ulster. I mean, you look at Munster. Maybe A hooker from their side could make their way in. All right, Leinster making their way back out onto the field now. Water, hopefully. Says a Blues. Now, I'll quickly get you that Cricket World Cup score, though. Cricket World Cup. At the moment, Cricket World Cup. There we go. Currently, South Africa are 29 for 4 after 9 overs. So they are scoring extremely slowly. The required run rate is 6.82, but they are scoring at 3.22. They still have the 6 wickets in hands. Where's Gary Ringrose? He is injured at the moment. Oh, sorry, Birdie. I ended up answering for you. Still injured, says Rugby. Yep, still out at the moment. You can use bread to filter a VHS head cleaner. It's a required taste. Nicely taken by Kayla Norris inside of the 22. I need to be sober for the Stormers game. So here's Blues, Nate. Could be over for that lad. And also we got their New Zealand time right. And it's going to be an easy win for the Proteas, although they've got to speed up at some stage soon, don't they? They can't really afford to just bat out the overs for the sake of it, because like as easy as getting 7 and over sounds, if they have a couple more quiet overs up against the Netherlands, that's when it starts to get a lot more challenging. Now line out throw for Rob Herring. They need another try soon here, Ulster. They want a chance of going on to win this game. He's going to be pulled into the maul by Andrew Porter. Breaking off the back, though, is Nick Timoney. Another big shot coming in from the Leinster defence. This is going to be all about how they start this half, Ulster. If they can get themselves the early try, they put themselves in the running for a chance in this game. But if they cannot, and Leinster are the side who managed to get themselves the first try of the second half, she might be all over for Ulster's URC season. It's going to be kicked high, not taken cleanly. That's going to be the knock-on from Leinster. But it sounds like Ulster have actually ended up with the penalty in their favour as well. I'm in the US scooping in on South Africa's server at the moment. Here's Blues, Nate. It was a good kick from John Cooney. That one nice and high, and then in the end just the accidental offside from Robbie Henshaw gave the penalty in favour of Ulster. Oh, John Cooney actually going to line up the shot at the post here. Rather than going for the 7, they've decided they want some form of points to show in this game. South Africa versus Ireland predict a draw in the series, says Manny M. Like they've said, they just want to get on the board in this matchup here for Ulster. Of course, they will still be down by 14. Robbie Henshaw looks fat and unfit. I don't know whether he looks fat. I feel like most of these guys, they're working with about maybe less than 10% body fat. And a lot of the time, they do have to bulk up a little bit when they do want to play in those centres. But I wouldn't say that Henshaw looks overweight or anything along those lines. I think the misconception could be the beard. Sometimes people with beards look a little bit more, I guess, chubbier in the face, but normally it's just the beard doing that for him, and he has grown out his beard a little bit more, Robbie Henshaw, than he normally does have it. Looks like Ty Furlong going to make his way from the field. South Africa needs 74 runs to beat the Netherlands. Alan Alatoa is on for Furlong. Now going to be kicking this one downfield, nicely taken inside of the 22 by Will Addison. He's had quite a few runs throughout this contest so far. Putting this one up high. Waiting for this one to come down. It's going to be knocked backwards by Ulster. They managed to keep the ball in the field of play. And I'm very close to the touchline, and now that ball is out. They just want to check this one. They're saying that there was no knock on. Gibson Park can't quite believe it as the Stormers. As long as the Stormers are sober, you'll be grand, says Brian. Yeah, on the far side, they did not see that knock on from Michael Lowry. Sorry, it was actually Jacob Stockdale, I should say, and the decision is going to be overruled after seeing the replay. Andrew Brace decides that it is going to be the scrum feed for Leinster once more. Dwant did well to blend into Sevens rugby. He certainly did. Like, that French side, even without DuPont, like they were on the right track already. And the fact that he was able to come in and take them to that new height, I think was hugely beneficial for them. I'm wondering how many other sides will look at bringing Union players in for their 7 circuit, but I guess that also means there's a lot of Sevens guys who will miss out on the opportunity. I mean, Hugo Keenan not playing in this game because he was playing 15 in the Irish Sevens recently. Now going to be fed in by Jameson Gibson Park. They've got themselves another penalty advantage here. Leinster. Gibson Park going across to the left-hand side. Little loop around play here. Jordan Lama. On a cross. And Leinster just look like they're on the verge of the possibility of a line break. O'Brien goes across, little cross kick attempted by Ross Byrne. Somehow James Lowe keeps that ball in the field of play. That is absolutely phenomenal from the Irish international winger, and he has got another try to his name in this matchup. Happens to the All Black Sevens, they are not the same. I mean, they're not bad either. Like, they just have been knocked down in a couple big games. Amish, you play cricket? I certainly do, yes. I think we're about 2 or 3 months away from our cricket season getting back underway. Remember Michael Lowry from Bad Boys? I do not know. A nice kick out wide. Keeping that ball. AB7's not bad. Still way better than the blitz box. And 32-4 at drinks after the 10th for the Proteas. Says Gussie is certainly not scoring in a hurry at the moment. That is sensational work from James Lowe, being able to kick that ball as he thought that it was going to be going into touch. And it certainly would have been had he not got his boot on it. Kept that ball in the field of play, and that is now making the score 22 points to 3 in favour of Leinster. That is almost the game, I would say, between these two sides. I don't think that we will see the comeback from Ulster in this contest. They have scored the amount of points that Ulster scored last time these two sides went head-to-head. Of course, Leinster only having 21 in that game, but certainly making a statement throughout this contest. Ross Byrne from the sideline. Relatively challenging kick, and it's going to hit the post and bounce back out, so that'll keep the score as a 22 points to 3. I feel like Ulster are probably looking at that 3-pointer that they took and maybe saying that wasn't the right decision. I've heard some idiot comments that DuPont is the GOAT in rugby. If you're going to be the GOAT, you must be at least brought. Being a pioneer in your position like Aaron Smith or Just or McCaw, says Morse. And that's the thing, like, DuPont is still pretty young in his rugby career as well, which is crazy to think. Like, the fact that that man, I'm just going to quickly look up his age, just because I don't want to get it wrong. Antoine DuPont, at the moment, he's only 27. So, the fact that he has still got what could be another 9 years or so playing rugby, of course, 9's probably a bit optimistic, but, you know, as a halfback, you can last a very long time. They're going to have to stop this one. Oh, the trainer's been crushed there under the breakdown by Andrew Porter, giving some medical attention to one of the Ulster players. Does not look too flash at the moment. There might be Jacob Stockdale, who is down here with an injury. Lou looks like he's playing a training game. Says rugby. And also England versus Australia, T20 live now. Is it? Is it taking place? Oh, yeah, it is. At the same time as the game between South Africa and the Netherlands. Australia almost have more runs in the first 4 overs that they faced compared to South Africa who have faced 10 overs. Might be Stuart Moore's hip. His teammate has actually knocked him down. Looks like he's going to be all right to at least sit up in this one. Jacob Stockdale. Looks like he's got blood coming from his mouth. Hamish, they must that plate out of his brain and face. Bloody robot. Or they must take that plate out of his brain and face, says Morse. Okay, I think Rob Herring is getting confirmation from Andrew Brace. I think the factor that they're a little bit disappointed about Ulster is the fact that it was his teammate who took him out. Prime Stockdale was better than Lowe. Watching this game, you would never have thought it. Says rugby. Predicting Aussies win. Here's Manny M there as well. But yeah, looks like Stockdale, his jaw does not look good at the moment. This cricket overlap collab has made me upset, says Bystander. DuPont is the GOAT because he is just good all over the park. There's Anunnaki. He's bleeding from his mouth. He's got a bit of a limp as well. Stockdale, I don't think he'll be returning in this match, but it's McElroy who is the replacement for him. Of course, the next game that is taking place is going to be Glasgow versus the Stormers, and after that game we get to hear the Springboks squad announcement. We are going to be doing a video on that, so be sure if you haven't already to leave a like and subscribe. Netherlands did beat South Africa in the World Cup, says Manny M. And DuPont is just a freak athlete. They don't come around often. He is the best right now. Here's rugby, and still 32 minutes remaining in this contest between the two sides. Cooney going back across to the left-hand side. Bit of a miscommunication in that back line for Ulster, but McCloskey is there to be able to clean it up in ice hockey. Geordie Howe was the best player for over a decade with a plate in his skull, says Gus. Oh, good flat ball from Ulster. They've had some good chances in this game. That's going to be the penalty going against Andrew Porter for playing that ball while he was on the ground. Does end up giving away the simple penalty. I said he just didn't release it while he was on the ground. Nick Timoney just very handy throughout this game. Probably been one of the best players for Ulster in this matchup. Sadly, hasn't been able to really help them get onto that try sheet yet. He was very close, but he was held up in the end by Leinster. Yeah, I think it was actually Andrew Porter penalised for not releasing this. South have 10 overs and need 64 runs to win. There's Manny M, nicely thrown in by Ulster. Are now in possession, looking for their rolling maul. Wasn't effective in the first half. They have got themselves the penalty advantage as well here, Ulster. So they'll be able to create one last chance. And that is going to be a perfect one on the short side. David McCann, they'll want to go to that rolling maul again, because I honestly feel if that one didn't work, they probably would have given it up. But they've got it this time. David McCann gets the try, and Ulster now on the try sheet for the first time in this contest. To be honest, if a dude comes at me with a plate in his head, I give way. Says Anunnaki. And the only time I watch cricket is when Hamish out there playing, or the cricket commentary by the Kiwi lads. Yeah, we certainly need to get more GoPro cricket videos going, don't we? We've got about 15 recorded, but I just haven't had the time to be able to edit them, unfortunately. But, you know, it would be quite cool. I also got a trophy from the last cricket season. I was the leading run scorer in my team. So you'll get to see some of those runs being scored throughout those videos. And DuPont brought nothing new to rugby. Smith bullet passed. Ewis played like a wing. Loose forward, Danny Craven. The dive passed. Architect and McCaw pilfering. DuPont just a good player, no pioneering. Although, because you also argue that it's very hard to be a pioneer when so many things have already been done. You know, like, you're in that situation, unfortunately, that the later you start playing, the less chance that you're actually going to have of creating your own moment. You know, creating your own style. Milner Scudder, he created the stutter step. But, you know, how many players since then have been doing a step like that? But, of course, you know, if you're really looking back, he was one of the first to really do that kind of little show and go, but doesn't often get a lot of credit for it. Well, then when Saints beat Bath to win the Premiership final, they certainly did. Close game between those two sides. And Proteas are 43 for 4 after 11. And yes, please, Hamish, GoPro cams. And try Ulster, says Brian. And there, DuPont isn't in the same league as Just and Forey, says Albert. Now around the side, Joe McCarthy. Still making more meters for Leinster. It's something that they've done extremely well throughout this match. I should mention, with that missed kick, it does mean that Leinster are still up by 14 points. They really needed that kick to go over to be within a sniff in this contest, and they also need to stop Leinster from scoring any more tries. Great driving defence there from Ulster. DuPont has strength of the front row, speed of the winger, brain of a 10. It's a complete freak athlete, boys. So here's a rugby there. Now going off to the left-hand side. Out wide to James Lowe. Keeps in the field of play just like he did when he scored his second try in this matchup. Now Caelan Doris tackled low in the middle. DuPont, it's a combination of Brian O'Driscoll and Dan Carter and Colby and Just. There's cool story, bro. That's going to fire up some South Africans' cool story, bro. And I hope you know that. Now Joe McCarthy flicking it out the back door. Going away to Jimmy O'Brien. And we're going to have won the Challenge Cup final, beating Warrington 18 points to 8 in today's final. So here's Manny M. Another step coming from Jordan Lama. Some quick stepping from the right winger. Caelan Doris with the pick and go around the side of the breakdown. Here comes Jameson Gibson Park. Finds his offload back to Jordan Lama. Good defence from Ulster. Not to allow Leinster through, but it may only be a matter of time before we see them get through. Loose ball. Not cleaned up by Jimmy O'Brien out on the wing. And it's now going to be the goal line dropout. Or it may even be a 22 dropout, I believe, for Ulster. I think they just want to check this. Whether or not it did touch an Ulster hand, because if it did, I think that would actually be a scrum feed for Leinster 5 metres out from the line. Bond only looks good because there's no competition, but he's pretty average. Says Albert, does it touch the hand? Just a fingertip there. So I believe that is going to be a scrum now for Leinster 5 metres out from the try line. It'll be very hard to see it from that angle. In fact, no, they have said that it didn't touch him, so it is going to be a 22 dropout here now for Ulster. 27 minutes left, 3 tries already being scored by Leinster compared to the one of Ulster, which did come in the second half. They need a lot more. They want to get back into this contest. Now, Robbie Henshaw. Low tackle made on him by the replacement 19 who came onto the field quite early due to the injury of Izzy Cormac. And Wigan are the most successful rugby league club in England. Have a look at what DuPont's competition have to say about him. Check what Ronan O'Gara says about DuPont. I think he knows a little better than you boys. Says rugby. Now again, well taken down inside, just outside, sorry, of their 22 here for Ulster. Attempting the cross kick. Going to be kicked forward. And that was a mistake made by Will Addison. Gives it straight into the hands of Leinster. And now James Lowe, he's dropped that ball near the touchline. Back across. Going to be Billy Burns now. Another step coming for McElroy. Back up to his feet. And tries again. Now John Cooney going across to the right-hand side here again for Ulster. Quick hands out there, backline. Here comes Michael Lowry. He's had limited chances throughout this game. DuPont won't do well if he switches codes. I mean, he's gone to sevens and has done extremely well throughout that, but I assume you're talking Union. And Pollard is overrated. He's only a good, he never did something special in the World Cup. So here's Outlaw. So I assume that's he's only a good goal kicker is what you're saying there, Outlaw. Fill in the blank. That one is going to be kicked into touch by Ross Byrne, losing a lot of territory there for Leinster. Exactly. He killed sevens. There's rugby. And Pollard can kick, that's all. There's Outlaw. But yeah, well, Addison doing the hard work of keeping that ball in the field of play. He did a similar thing to what James Lowe did, although the difference was James Lowe was able to retain that ball. A league doesn't require talent. There's Anunnaki. Byrne getting that one off the side of his boot. Looks like Dan Sheehan's going to make his way from the field. That is for Ronan Killer. At least Pollard never miss a kick. Has 2 World Cups. Says Albert. DuPont great in Union. And not so good in league if he ever made the switch. Well, he probably wouldn't want to make the switch. If he's doing well in Union, why would he want to change? I feel like he'll make more money from Union. Currently on the big bucks is Antoine DuPont. And DuPont changed to law in rugby. Says Eric. Now, it's going to be there for Jameson, Gibson Park. I guess that will make him a slight pioneer, wouldn't it, if it gives him a new law. The DuPont law, of course, the one that involves offside for the second kick. Naz Bota was a perfect fly-half, and Mornay Stain. Sears Outlaw, nicely taken there on the halfway line by Ulster again. Continuing to push the pace here, Ulster. They got 25 minutes to try and get into it. Give Frawley honesty to Byrne. Frawley needs more than 10 minutes each game, and that's the thing. He's a world-class player, Frawley. And normally it's when he only gets short opportunities that he actually makes more mistakes. And that is because they just limit his amount of game time. And like, don't get me wrong, Byrne's been all right throughout this game, but at the same time, it would be good for Frawley, even if you put him on for Jimmy O'Brien, give him that slot at fullback, perhaps, for a bit of time. Sam is on the bench, get him on. Says Rugby there as well. Now Cooney on up across to Stuart McCloskey, tackled by his opposite number as well as Caelan Norris. Now inside ball, offload there to Warwick. And Johnny Wilkinson is the best ever, just asked Manny M. Says cool story, bro. Now out wide. So moving forward, this time it's Stuart Moore with the carry. There's a knock on though on the breakdown. You can't use anything against Pollard as he was pulled late into the World Cup. Says Barry Green. I forgot Sam was on the bench, so yeah. Looks like Frawley will play 15 or 12 maybe. Says Anthony there. Dan Carter says Werner, Rugby. Are you going for Leinster, says Connor. Now to 23 minutes remaining. And Foster should have played Roygaard in the World Cup final. New Zealand would have won it. I mean, of course, nothing's confirmed in terms of what could have happened. You never know. Roygaard may have gotten injured the first minute that he stepped onto the field. You just never really know. But I do think that he would have been the better option ahead of Finlay Christie, and I still feel that. Although with Roygaard's injury, of course, that opens up the door. Protes need 48 or 42 balls. So here's BDV. So they're slowly getting back into it there. Are they still 4 down? The boy had a game in the final. But he's not even my top 6. Hugh Smith, 40, Gareth Edwards, Sid Going, Danny Craven. He's no go to mine. Says Moore, says South African. I have to say Carter was the best. Says Albert. Now 23 minutes left. We have got time off again. We will go like this. And we will go like that. And we will go like that. So currently in terms of the odds, Ulster, their chances are not very high at the moment. But it is not over yet. You know, at the end of the day, who knows? You know, 2 more tries takes us to extra time. That would actually not be ideal. If there's any result that I would hate to see in this game, it would be extra time because then it would go into the next game between Glasgow and the Stormers. But I'm also rooting for Ulster players like Stu. I'm from Cork and going for Ulster. All Blacks blew it. Poor selection from Foster. Says Manny M. But also certain players had poor performances. I mean, you look at that final and re-watching it, you watch Peter Steph du Toit, and that man was just on another level throughout that game. Like, he was absolutely everywhere, and he was demolishing breakdowns. He was smashing players backwards. And, you know, like, if there was ever a time to say a player single-handedly changed the game, it is Peter Steph du Toit in that World Cup final, because he was absolutely world-class. Pollard is a normal fly half that kicks well. Says Outlaw, fly half is as good as their forwards. Says, cool story, bro. I'm up for any Irish team, but in this case, Leinster. Says Rugby. Steve Borthwick almost outwitted Rassi in that semi-final, says Manny M. I'm getting ready to go with another box kick here from Jameson Gibson Park. It's going to be allowed to bounce. That is always risky. Sits up now for Leinster. Back into the pocket. Jameson Gibson Park under a lot of pressure there. Has to release that ball, and he's knocked it on in the process. Ulster managed to take that ball back. Dan Carter was the all-in-one fly half. It's going to be kicked in behind nicely. Going to the hands of Jimmy O'Brien. They've been told to use it. Only 21 minutes left now in this game, and as this one gets closer and closer to its end, Ulster also will have that reality of it's going to be their last game in the URC for this year. Well, at least for this competition. Of course, URC taking place later on. And yeah, nice attack and run now from McElroy. Ulster have numbers on this left-hand side here. Timoney moves up to 25 metres out. The game is over. Izuchukwu leaving the field, swung it in Leinster's favour. Good kicker wins games. Here's the Outlaw. I think Steve Borthwick is a good coach. he does not get the credit he deserves. So here's Manny M. Now Cooney. And across again there to Stuart Moore. Seems like it's a matter of time for Ulster eventually cross that try line again here. It's whether or not Leinster can stop them doing it twice. Now Cooney. Going across there to McElroy again. That a little bit closer to the try line. Up to 8 phases in a row here for Ulster as well. Some quick hands. Leinster's rush defence though just causing all sorts of problems here for Ulster. Rob Herring hits it up again. Matt Giddo could have done with better forwards. There's goal story, bro. Cooney goes across to the left-hand side. Little loop and play there doesn't work out. Nathan Doak making the mistake, and now Jordan Lama gets the ball back for Leinster. Gisborne Park. Way to the left-hand side now. Byrne going across to Robbie Henshaw. He doesn't often boot the ball, but when he does, normally gets some decent meterage on it, and it's gone down to Ulster's 22 now. McElroy going across now to Will Addison. He's been tripped by his own teammate in this case, and it's wide open now for Jameson Gisborne Park to be able to break his way through. Looks for the offload, sits up for Nathan Doak. It looks like there might be an injury here for Michael Lowry. It's very slow getting back up to his feet. Now, another opportunity here for Ulster to put this one up high. Well claimed by Leinster again. He had some good forwards with the Brumbies. Says Anunnaki. Now back across Ross Byrne. Does put it high. Taken, no, not taken cleanly by Stuart Moore, which now gives the ball to Joe McCarthy. Finds his offload. One more pass. This is Leinster's chance. James Lowe saying to James Ryan to cut on the inside. Now Byrne. Short ball to Jimmy O'Brien. Thought about his offload. He had some good forwards. With the Brumbies, says Anunnaki. Now past our wide here for Leinster. All he has to do here, Jordan Lama, is run it in the corner. And that is exactly what Leinster have done. And they've got themselves now their 4th try. That would be a bonus point in the regular season, but in this game, it's just a very good lead to have over this Ulster side. Big props to Steve Borthwick. Going to be an interesting test next month, and Jamie Joseph would have made an excellent All Blacks coach. 72 for 4 to have ever go on track in the T20. So yeah, they've done very well after losing those early wickets. By the looks of it for the South Africans, can't wait for the Blues. Sam Maniem for the England versus All Blacks series, which is around the corner. Of course, South Africa are going to be taking on the Irish. We are covering those games on the channel as well, ladies and gentlemen. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We're also going to be back for the next game that is taking place between the Stormers and Glasgow. And that one is just around the corner as well. It's going to be kicking off in just over an hour's time. What are the major changes in this year's All Blacks versus the World Cup team last year? Well, I cannot really confirm because we don't know the All Blacks squad as of yet. But, I mean, there's different coaches. That's one thing. But other than that, we don't really know. We don't know who the players are going to be. We don't know what the tactics are going to be. We don't know what the mindset is going to be. We have to wait a little bit longer to find out who's actually in that side. On the 24th of June is when we will find out who the All Blacks have got in their team. 3 best scrum halves ever was Gareth Edwards, Just and Fori Dupre. It's a good kick from Byrne. Making the score now at 29 points to 8 in favour of this Leinster side. So they are more than likely booking themselves that game up against the Bulls next week. I'm not sure whether or not that's going to be the 2 a.m. game or the 5 a.m. game for us here in New Zealand, but either way, we are going to be covering it, of course, on the channel. But based on the form of the guys in Super League, Hamish, who do you reckon is playing 10? I mean, 10, it's going to be interesting because he has got the option of Mo'unga coming back from overseas. So I don't know whether or not he's going to go for Mo'unga as the first or second choice for that 10 jersey. I think the only logical choice currently based off New Zealand form is probably Damian McKenzie. But even so, some people would argue that maybe he isn't quite doing as good as he did at the start of the season. So, yeah, it will be an interesting one. I feel like we need some more information, though, in terms of who's going to be in the squad before we can judge how they're going to go. Now, a little kick in behind. They look close to offside for McElroy. I think they'll check this. He scored the try, but was he behind the kicker there? If he was, then Ulster have got themselves a try back in this contest. It's been 55 years since Wales beat the All Blacks. Scotland have never beaten the All Blacks. Says Manny in. And I can't remember when last Wales played the ABs. Yeah, it's been a little while, isn't it? I think last year or the year prior, I think it was. In fact, did the All Blacks play them on Halloween? They might have, because I think I was dressed up as Harry Potter. Long story, but I think that might have been the case. We're going to look here and see what we can find. Wales, did they play them? In fact, it won't even be on this channel. I had to stream on the other channel due to a copyright strike for that game. So it might have been a little while ago. It was 2022. All Blacks scored over 50 points. Dressed up as Harry Potter. It all makes sense now. Says Rugby. But yeah, I think it was over on the Kiwi Lads Sport channel that we did end up doing that one. Andrew Porty is off the field. Cian Healy will make his way on. Well done, Ulster. But two big tries, or two more tries, as a big hill to climb, says Brian. Ross Maloney has made his way on as well. Second half, not too far from concluding. For a moment, we're going to quickly Google this. Yeah. I was dressed as Harry Potter on that live stream, ladies and gentlemen. Which some people may not believe, but it was in the Autumn Nation series for 2021. I'm just going to quickly see if I can I do this? Is this going to work? Okay, I don't think it's going to work. Hopefully I haven't accidentally ended the live stream or anything along those lines. I was trying to take a screenshot from that live stream. How many minutes left now, Hamish? We've still got another 14 minutes remaining in that contest. One's going to be a high one. Was it an Ulster try? It was. They did end up saying that he was behind. The kick was over from Cooney. So that now makes the score sitting 29 points to 15, but Ulster still 2 converted tries down at this point in time. Now big run forward from Joe McCarthy. Bit of a rough pass there, but it has bounced up into the hands of Jimmy O'Brien. Goes on the inside of Robbie Henshaw. Now 7 metres out from the line here for Leinster. They are going to the short side off to Jordan Lama. This game is over, boys. Says Rugby. And yeah, if there's one more try for Leinster, that will well and truly seal the deal in this fixture. Now away to the left-hand side. Away to the left again. Flat run from Robbie Henshaw. He was lined up early by the Ulster defence. Looks like there might have been a facial injury. Out wide, Josh van den Flair will score the try for Leinster. That is now their 5th in this matchup. They are on fire at the moment at the Aviva. They'll be heading to South Africa for their next game up against the Bulls. That one will be a very entertaining one. And Aussie being put under pressure by England, says Manny M. So I should mention once again, ladies and gents, the next live stream that we are doing will be starting at 6:20 p.m. or sorry, 6:20 a.m. New Zealand time. And that's it for sure, says O'Brien. And then game over, says Outlaw. Yeah, I feel like that last try will seal the deal here for the Leinster side. I don't really see them coming back from this one. I feel like it's going to be too much of a mountain to climb. As much as they'd like to get back into the contest, it just doesn't seem like it's going to be that possible. And Borthwick is a Rassie Bot copycat and the most boring guy to interview, period, says Morse. 5th of November 2022. It's 55-23 ABs versus Wales, says Albert. And also we have got the South Africa need 29 runs to win. It's sloppy Ulster, says Barry. Lions door next year, Andy Farrell versus his old boss Joe Schmidt. It'll be interesting. Like, there's some good games coming just around the corner, even when we look at the July internationals that we are going to get to see. South Africa versus Ireland, of course, coming up just around the corner. Also New Zealand taking on England, France, I think they're going head-to-head with Argentina, if I'm correct. Australia. They have got Wales. Yeah, some really good hands from Leinster to get it out wide to Josh Van der Flair, who just didn't have a defender in front of him. They made it look pretty easy to run it in. Say that to Borthwick's face. He's a tough guy. Says Manny M. Prendergast now making his way onto the field. I can understand why Wales don't like to play the ABs often, says Albert. Now into the pocket. Jimmy O'Brien kicks that one into touch. I just see there's Sam Prendergast. It seems like he has got a future at Leinster. By the sounds of it, he's a very young player with a long time in front of him. I can understand why Wales, I know I read they won tonight. Leinster Island versus the Bulls in Pretoria. The Bulls pack will crush them, says Farid, although they're going to have to play better than they did up against Benetton in that last game. Like, to the Bulls' credit, though, they needed to get the win, and that was exactly what they did. They won ugly, but that was the goal. They have to get the win, and that is what they were able to do. McTominay, that's going to be knocked down from Michael Alalator, I should say. Araze's coach came 4 years too late. Same thing happened with Meyer. It was 4 years too late. Foster was the wrong choice, period. And because the ABs always crush Wales. Says Manny M. I can't see Ireland beating the box versus last year's game. Ireland are missing Sexton, Ringrose, Keenan, and Hansen. That's damn near the whole backs. Says Rugby there. So we've got another time off here. Another stoppage, and Bulls and Leinster will be a killer. Says Outlaw. Yeah, it's certainly going to be the more anticipated game, I would say, of the two playoff matches. 77 for 5. Also, they must be getting pretty close in that game. I think they needed 103, somewhere around there. And 27 off 22 balls is required for them in that contest, the South Africans. Now, 9 minutes remaining. And Marcel Kutsia will be back next weekend, says Vern. Although it was a bit of a risk, I guess you could say, putting a guy in who hasn't played in a long time due to injury. Hopefully he's going to be match fit and rearing to go if he does return into the side. Now, another scrum reset. And this won't be too, I guess, disappointing for Leinster having 3 or 4 scrum resets in a row here just to use up a bit more time. Moody out for weeks, says Albert, and also Kurtley Uddenser failing his HIA, which means more than likely he will be out for the next 2 weeks. That is the final and the semi-final if the Bulls do make it through to that next stage. Box will smoke Ireland the more I think about it, says Rugby. If you look at the ABs versus Wales history, Wales have been beaten heavily. And now Cooney had to put the ball in for Ulster. They need 3 converted tries in the next 8 minutes to be able to win this game, and Leinster have just got themselves the penalty. I'm worried about the Bulls' wings. I mean, we saw Nisi Ratave run over the top of Sebastian de Klerk quite a bit throughout that game up against Benetton, and I think that will be something that they're a little bit worried about. Clayton and Zuss injured. I think Lillian Zuss is. I'm not sure about Clayton Blomekes, though. I think we'll see a little bit of a, that's the thing, though. They've still got quite a few extra options. Of course, you're talking about the Stormers in that regard, but for the Bulls, they have got a few backups. Could go out on that wing. We saw Sergio Peterson get the opportunity in that last one. And our nice back line, that is sharp from Leinster, getting it out wide to Jordan Lama, who will cut on the inside. Another great low tackle made by the replacement Ewers. Now Prendergast. Now McCarthy goes across to Henshaw. Angelo Davis suspended for the Stormers. Yeah, I did see that he got suspended for his high shot on Nahamba. Joe McCarthy has been a bit of a letdown since his impressive form at the start of the year. I think he's been tremendous throughout this game, though. He's got himself, I think, 3 turnovers won throughout this match, including a couple crucial ones in the rolling maul as well as the breakdown. Now Frawley goes behind to Sam Prendergast. Short ball away to Robbie Henshaw now. Out wide, Ryan Beard. Good low tackle made on him. Ulster looking for the turnover. I think they've almost knocked that ball on, though. 19 balls left to get 25. This game is against weak competition, mate, says Rugby. I mean, to be fair, Ulster aren't exactly too shabby at times. Yes, they haven't had the best game, but it still takes a bit of effort to go through the middle of a rolling maul and get the turnover. But yeah, maybe he hasn't quite been in that hot form that he's been in for the Irish internationally. But I feel like he still had a few solid games throughout the URC. And like you said, when you're not against flash opposition, you don't really need to have standout performances. If your side's winning 90% of the time anyway, all you need to do is do your 7 out of 10 and you're all good. At least New Zealand has a fun team to play like Wales. South Africa has no fun Tier 1 teams to play. Even Italy would be uncomfortable. There's cool story, bro. Now, 6 minutes remaining. That one once again going to be kicked into touch by Ulster. Leinster have got themselves the line-out throw. Now, once again, line-out throw is your scoreboard not updating, Hamish. It's gone to sleep. But there we go. It has now updated itself. Hamish, I'm sure you're annoyed with comments outside the game at hand. Game covered, just shout. Community will adapt. Says bystander. No, I'm used to it. I'm used to the random comments coming through. You like hockey, Hamish? Haven't really followed a lot of hockey in my time. 5 minutes left. Another free kick, I believe. In fact, that might have actually just been straight up penalty. As Leinster look to find the touchline. Was almost kept in the field of play. Australia are the best in hockey. And who have New Zealand got in their Olympics group? Not actually too sure, because I think there's still a few more qualification games to take part. Now 5 minutes left. Leinster to bring up 40 points would actually be a very impressive feat in this matchup. They've looked like the better side out there on the field. Ulster had their early chances, but they weren't able to make the most of them. And Leinster just slowly building back in. Play much golf? A little bit. Not much recently, though, I'll be honest. Up until the Rugby World Cup, I was playing 2 or 3 times a week. And then that World Cup, we just got absolutely flooded with things to do. And I think since that World Cup, I've only probably played 3 times. So I'd like to get back into it, but just ran out of time due to being busy for the World Cup. Plus, when we were doing like 20-hour days, we just couldn't really afford to spend the other 4 hours at the golf course rather than sleeping. How do you guys always bully the New Zealanders? Says Morse. I know, bud. I've been following Hamish since the Rugby World Cup, just testing the waters. And hey, guys, don't forget to smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, why not subscribe? Says Birdie V, but that is another try for Leinster. Was that Ross Maloney? Managed to score the try there, but Prendergast hit it up. And then from there, just the short ball around the side. And yeah, Maloney just crawls over. Scores the try for Leinster that now puts them into the 40s in this matchup. For a game that looked like it was going to be kind of close early on, it's now become a massively one-sided affair. Hamish, what's your handicap? I hadn't put in that many cards, but I think I was on about a 24 or so. But yeah, I don't think that was an accurate handicap just because I hadn't really done enough cards. Like I think I'd only put in 15 cards or something like that, and that was even when I was a lot younger, involved in the handicap. I get it, but Hamish is one covering the game. Says bystander, Steve Borthwick is a guy you don't want to upset. He is hard as nails. He said a few times he's cool with it. Says rugby. Now it's going to be offloaded from Rob Herring. No, in fact, sorry, that is actually Ronan Kelleher. Getting my Irish hookers confused. 3 minutes left. Leinster have got themselves 6 tries on the board, and also the last conversion was successful for them. I say 21 points difference for Leinster might be bigger. Ulster is pathetic. No expect, no gain line. And that's going to be cleaned up again by Max Deegan. Offloaded up to McGrath. Referee does very well to avoid taking the ball to the face there. Thanks so much, says the head office. And Leinster beating Ulster by that score is a lot more impressive than the ball scraping by Benetton. Says Brian. Oh, that's a forward pass. Right in front of the referee. And he has called it in the end. This is Leinster's first team. It is their stronger side that they can put out. Like, yes, they've got a few players missing, but that is due to injury, so you can't really help that. Yeah, a little chip in behind from Sam Prendergast. James Lowe is absolutely loving it as well. Leinster is hungry for a cup. Bulls will have a hard game. This is one of the least off-the-topic streams I've seen. People talking about food, or people talk about food or goofy. It's mostly rugby in general today. Says, cool story, bro. It seems to change weekend by weekend, doesn't it? Depending on what happens. but that's all right. We adapt to it. Seem Prentice move to Connacht. Looks like it's fallen apart. He should go on loan to the top 14 team for 2 years of experience. Come back to start for Leinster. Says Rugby. Now 80 seconds remaining. McGrath trying to put pressure on that scrum. Ulster are now back in possession. Moving up to the halfway line. We are not far away from the conclusion of this game. Of course, one more quarterfinal still to come. That'll be Glasgow versus the Stormers. That is happening just around the corner. That one's going to be kicked into touch, which does now mean that it is a 50-22 for Ulster. Neighbour versus White next week. Yeah, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a lot of feeling in that one. Joe McCarthy getting player of the match after his phenomenal performance in this game, I should say. It's very strong in that first half. Ex-Springbok coach putting Leinster to use, says Barry Green, and say Borthwick. Was a good player, won 57 cats for England, says Manny M. Now getting ready for this line-out throw. And it's looking pretty handy for Ulster. Ex-Sport coach couldn't get them the win. They needed, mate. Everyone thought he could, says Rugby. Now the penalty advantage in favour of Ulster, so they've still got time to score themselves one last try. McCloskey looks like the cross kick is attempted, goes in the hands of Michael Lowry, who will pin his ears back and he will score the last try of this contest. And Ulster, they will get the last laugh, or at least the last points. But Leinster, of course, they will be going through to the semi-finals to go head-to-head with the Vodacom Bulls. On the other side of the draw, we do know one of the two sides. That is Munster. And that is going to be up against either Glasgow or the Stormers, depending on who wins the next contest, which is kicking off in only around 45 minutes' time. We are going to be covering that one on the channel too. So if you are new, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Hamish, have you ever met any All Blacks? I met Norm Maxwell. We've done a few interviews with him, the ex-All Black. And Abar got the job done with this Leinster side, and glad Ulster made it respectable, says Brian. And thanks, Hamish, says Albert. And there as well. But Michael Lowry scoring the last try of this fixture. Now just the one kick to come. Stuart Moore is class, says Josh. He's been very busy throughout this game, that is for sure. He's been absolutely everywhere on the field. Just needed a few more players to step up alongside him. Like Will Addison had some good moments, but he also had a few shaky ones that cost them a few points. Cooney to line up this kick has missed away to the left-hand side. We have got the Alcanaba. Be so influential in only 4 months. Ridiculous. Apparently it was because of him. They lost the final. Good on you, Irish. Blaming on the South African. No sleep for Hamish tonight. Lick your stuff, bud, says Gary. There's on semis Munster versus Stormers. The Bulls versus Leinster, says 1, 2, 3 MS. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. That next game, like I mentioned, 45 minutes away from starting. We are going to be covering it 15 minutes prior to the kickoff, as we are ready to go for that exciting matchup. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all for the next one.